shit.
When you want to get off the darkest ground, gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too.
Behold, the bug.
Indiana Bones in the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Say there's any music up there.
When you want to get off the darkest ground, gravity pulls you straight down. Clear sky.
You're back.
Well, howdy y'all, and welcome back. We are here, and we are live, and we are finally kind of back on schedule. I mean, it's the first night that we're back on schedule, but you know, we should be good to go for the next few weeks here. So I do appreciate you all coming out. I apologize that it's been so sporadic lately. There was a good chunk of time there. Sean was in the hospital for about 19 days with a pretty critical condition, and then after he got home and was doing a little better, I had a trip home to New Jersey to see my family. Cheesemondo filled in for that. And then I got home and had COVID, so that was fun.
Real life interferes?
Yes. Unfortunately, for almost about probably 2 months now, real life has just been hectic. So I apologize, but
no need to apologize for that.
Oh my gosh, RJ doesn't sound like a robot.
Give it time, Mom. Give it time.
yeah,
I bet it's just because he's not using video.
probably
I never sound
probably.
like a robot, do I?
just a tad.
Just a tad sometimes.
But I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad that we're all here tonight. So thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. And we'll start with our introductions. Let's head over to Bionic Dance.
Hi everybody, Bionic Dance here. I moved to the East Coast like almost a month ago now, and I'm used to the show starting around 9-ish, and you know, we're pushing midnight. So just like Tornado Poo has Mountain Dew, I got me a Red Bull.
There you go.
Things are decent. I'm recovering from COVID myself. I exercised a lot today and then slept a lot after that. We'll see if I last the whole night.
Well, I'm glad that you're recovering at least some. It was COVID was definitely no fun. It was rough.
Yeah.
It was not I understand some people didn't get, bad symptoms with it or anything, but when you do get symptoms with it, it's rough. So I'm glad your
recovery lasts a while. I mean, like seriously, weeks. I was just no energy whatsoever. I'm surprised I did all the rollerblading I did today.
Yeah, it definitely lingers. Yes, Tornado?
Yeah, I want to say me and my mom have so far been lucky. We have not got COVID yet.
Well,
I was doing really well with not getting COVID. And then my stupid dad comes to help me move, and
yeah, that was it. I wound up getting stuck at the airport on the way home from New Jersey, and I think that's where I got it because the timeline lined up perfectly, and nobody else in my family was sick. So I'm assuming that's where I got it. But yeah, it was. We lasted. Sean and I both lasted all this time.
Or from the space insects.
Well, yes, it most likely was the space insects, but we can't, claim that because Gina didn't claim it yet. So.
That's true. You didn't meet any big feet in a cave, did you?
No, not that I can talk about.
You didn't.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You didn't run into any alien flying saucers or flying alien birds.
Nope,
right?
none of those. Nope.
And you didn't. And you didn't have a tree fall over in the middle of the night, smack a power line, and also take off the branches of one of your trees.
No.
Oh yeah.
None of that.
Our neighbor across the street, the crazy house as we call it. Although it's been bought by somebody, so hopefully no more crazy renters. They had a tree just spontaneously, the trunk on it, spontaneously shattered.
Not spontaneously. It looked like it was rotting from the inside out.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point is it literally shattered in on itself. And it hit the power line, and then fell over across the street and hit the branches of one of my trees. And we're not talking small branches. We're talking branches.
Big, thick branches, yeah.
Right. And the
Branch
thing
at
is...
least twice as thick as my leg.
Twice as thick as your waist. Are you kidding me? It's twice as thick as my waist. It's about the width of my body, basically. One branch. And the people who cleaned everything up left that branch in my yard saying, well, it's your tree, it's your problem.
Yeah, I hate that.
But you people have the appropriate truck. You've got a crane lift. You could remove it from the property since it was caused by the tree that fell over and shattered it.
Right. Yeah, they don't care. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, look on the bright side.
Is there one?
You have sticks.
Always look on the bright side.
Firewood.
Well,
Otherwise,
I don't have a fireplace.
Well,
no
mulch.
in it.
always
Does
look
anybody
on the
in Florida have a
bright
fireplace?
side of life.
probably not.
Yeah, well, the bright side of life is, well, now it's a spot in my yard I don't have to mow because I can't move it. It's too big.
Yeah.
I suggest you
You can
look
give it
on
as an
that.
art installation.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you here, Bionic Dance, and we also have with us tonight RJ.
Yes, I am here. I am corporeal, and I am hot, but not as hot as I'll be next week.
It's gonna be warm again.
Yeah,
Roasty
going
toasty.
back up to 100.
Ugh, yuck.
Yeah,
That's miserable.
at least low humidity.
Yeah.
Anyway, finishing up the second Paralogs of Fog novel. Want to get that out of the way by September to make various people that have been bitching at me for years happy.
Well, that's good. We're glad to have you here with us, RJ. And we also have with us Chris Kelling. If Chris may be busy. Chris looks busy. All right, we'll go over to Tornado. Hello, Tornado.
Hello, everyone. Once again, Tornado Pelt here from the armpit of Florida. And, yeah, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Sorry, Cece, I'm stealing your line because fuck you.
Yeah, sounds
On
about
a side
right.
note, Mark Pfizer in the chat says that those of us old enough to have gotten a smallpox vaccine as children may actually be protected already. I'm already doubly protected because, well, Mom probably got her smallpox vaccine, right?
Yes.
And I am an incel, so I don't have to worry about having sex with anyone. Meaning, guess what? Biggest risk factor for monkeypox gone right there. So, Mom and I are double protected. What?
There you go. I'm glad to hear it. Well, we're glad to have you here, Tornado. And we'll also go over to Mom NATO for Mom NATO's intro.
Oh yes, Mom NATO is still 3/4 of the way asleep. So please, just give me a little bit. Tornado came into my room and I was sleeping, and he's like, "Mom, it's time for the film." And I'm like, "What? What film?" He's like, home, I'm like, huh? Oh, so while he's talking, I'm pulling the blanket up over. He said, Mom, I already told him you'd be there. Oh, fine.
See what happens when you have children who commit yourself to things.
No, it's so terrible.
Shut up.
I was having a good dream too.
What was it?
Dream. Oh, not for child's consumption.
Yeah, yes, there are some things that
We don't
little
talk
Mr. Cobra
about.
boy must not know.
Yes, exactly. I might be 50. That doesn't mean I'm dead yet.
Well, it could
Yeah.
be arranged. I mean,
No, that's okay. But other than still being asleep and having a bit of a sinus infection, I'm good. There are worse things to have, like COVID. I don't want
Yeah,
COVID.
or flooded house.
Well, yes. Well, we flooded house. No flooded house here. Why would I have a flooded house?
As I said, there are
John
worse
Carroll
things.
is at it again
Oh.
in the side chat. He says,
Oh.
when they said a pox unto your houses, I wasn't expecting this.
So I'm assuming that monkeypox is a smallpox variation.
Yeah,
Or
I
something
guess so.
like that. Well, yeah, no, I had my smallpox vaccinations. I've had my chickenpox vaccinations. Of course, I'm at the age where I need to get a shingles vaccine, which is just for those who don't know, it's a reactivation of the
Varicella zoster virus.
the chickenpox virus. And it's very, very much painful. My mom had it, so yeah. My sister had it. So far, I haven't had it. So yeah.
shingles
Fun.
vaccine, roofing tar vaccine,
Yeah, I should get the pneumococcal pneumonia vaccine, whatever. All those things you have to start getting when you're old every year. Yeah.
Pneumococcal vaccine? Is that what you said?
Pneumococcal pneumonia.
Oh.
Hi, Chris.
Did you get that from Lake
What do we-
Titicaca?
The wheel.
So, yeah. So, I think Jess stepped AFK, so we might as well introduce Chris Kelling while he's got the time. So, hi, Chris.
Hello. There we go. Now we're so yeah. Long time no see, guys. Glad to be
Yeah.
here. Don't know how interactive I'm going to be for. Depends on how long these passenger lines last. So,
Things going good for you then?
I mean, even if it was going dead, it would be going good for me because I get paid either way. So
Well, that's good. That's good.
That's always
Oh,
a plus.
and
Yeah,
also,
it's nice to see you again.
yes, well, it's good to be seen.
yeah, Mom,
Hmm.
you say you have to get your pneumococcal and shingles vaccine. So I guess there's going to be shots.
Yeah.
Seriously, there will be a slight pinch.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, what was going through my head was a kind of ham-fisted joke about monkeypox mutating into a computer virus and giving everyone epoxy, but it didn't.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't make
Oh.
it stick.
I'm radio operator.
Oh dear.
Monkey with a key type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, at least we don't turn into flying monkeys.
Well, that's a plus.
I don't know. I think flying under my own power sounds like a blast.
Yeah, but then
Stop
you'd
and
have to
think
deal
about
with.
how weird it is. All those people who are so enthusiastic watching Superman fly around. I mean, they make a huge deal out of it being a bird or a plane at first. It's
Right.
like, wouldn't you be more bored? Someone goes, "Look up in the sky," and yeah, that's a bird, dude. No, it's a plane. It makes no sense how they're so
Yeah.
psyched about birds and planes.
Right.
No, I don't know though.
It's the rhythm of it. It's not supposed to make sense. It was a comic book. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no,
I always remember Underdog.
Yeah.
Underdog.
Nor plane nor frog.
Yeah. Oh
Just
dear.
little me. And Frog was in there just so he could make the rhyme with underdog. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't know about. Being a flying monkey, you have to worry about all that fur. It just seems like it's
Yeah,
irritating.
that's
On the
true.
plus side, it does mean you get to fling your poo at people.
I mean, I don't know that I would, but sure.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I have that ability now.
True.
Yeah, really.
True. Not
Yeah,
that
but
we
then
use
again,
it,
fast
but
enough
verbal
to be
diarrhea.
a VTOL.
yeah. Oh dear.
Anyway,
Well, let us then bring up our wheel, shall we?
You mean there's a wheel?
Sure. Oh my god, a
Indeed.
wheel!
Indeed.
I thought
All
we were just
right.
gonna
Here.
BS all night.
I mean, we could do that
Oh,
too,
there's
but
Stuff and things on it.
oh no.
we have
Oh, no.
we have UFO, we have medium, we have dinos, and we have pendulum.
Now, this medium, is it extra medium?
England swings like a pendulum. dude.
Small
Did you know
It's
that?
medium?
medium rare.
Medium large.
Medium rare.
We have medium dinos on a pendulum for UFOs.
Yeah, something like that.
that.
It's a pendulous
that time
UFO.
Pink, fluffy
Well, you know, if it
unicorns
was
dancing on
UFOs and
rain.
You don't wanna see a
dinos, there was a
pendulous
cartoon
UFO,
show in the
no.
80s called Dinosaucers. I mean, maybe
Yes.
that's
Yeah, I
There
remember
was.
that. Never watched it, but I remember it.
Yeah.
Apparently nobody did.
Alrighty.
Hey, I like the intro. It rocked. Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and spin that wheel tornado.
Wheel of misfortune. Turn, turn, turn. Show us the stupid that we should burn. Spin it. Do 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 do. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes.
Oh, UFOs!
Oh.
Wow!
Yes,
Wow,
UFOs.
man!
Woohoo!
You learn all about the little gray
Oh,
aliens.
sorry, that's not UFO.
Are we gonna learn about?
UFOs.
No, I'm scared this is gonna be a Gina Marie Calvin Hill.
I don't even remember anymore, so it'll
Oh my
be
goodness.
Be a surprise to
Might
us all
even be
and
one
a
of
terror.
mine.
yeah,
Ooh.
She's quickly becoming the Claudia Alvarez. So
she is. Yeah,
I wonder
No,
if
she
Claudia's
come-
ever gonna come back.
No, I
no.
don't think so.
Oh, I hope not.
Do you think she just used
Burst
the
into flames.
I
That
think
she
she's
finally
kidnapped
figured
by
out-
the dinosaurs on Planet X.
It's possible.
No, I think she finally realized that all of her bullshit was hurting her career by about a bazillion. And she finally decided to just say, okay, I'm out of here.
All right. Well, we have our
Okay, we got
video
an
up.
inset of a UFO, presumably from military thing, and then we have a larger screen that looks like a close-up of the sun in black and white.
Or
Yeah.
possibly a QR code.
Yeah, either one.
Yeah.
Side note, please don't attempt to scan this. You don't know what it'll put on your phone.
Oh, like one more app will kill me.
Right.
Everyone
Yeah, it
wants
looks
their
like
app
kind of
on
like a
my
guy
damn phone,
holding up a
don't they?
hand in the middle, but anyway, that's
Yeah.
just pareidolia.
All right. Bear with me
Ooh,
just
and I
one
see
second.
a face on the left. Ooh, this like Where's Waldo game.
You know, Where's Waldo just stinks as an audiobook.
And you know that I'm wondering whether Waldo was the guy that let the dogs out.
Possibly.
Possibly,
that's
yeah.
why
No,
he
that
on
was
the
the
lam.
Baja Men.
Anyway, we're
Alrighty.
delaying enough. I guess we should hit play.
Yeah, I think we're at that point. We'll go ahead and hit play. So here we
Have to
go.
actually see
Well,
it.
I don't know
Then-
if I should.
Could Waldo stop the rain?
Yeah. Or Doctor
Purple
Who.
rain?
Ooh,
What the?
screen. UFOs, UAPs.
Unidentified flying objects, or otherwise known as UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, has been plaguing the consciousness of our collective minds for years. So, I'll be looking at UAP
Drink.
encounters in the past.
Yes, Mom
I don't know about anybody else, but I don't think UFOs have been plaguing my consciousness.
Well, I
No,
have to admit, actually, I kind of have been fascinated with them since I was a kid. Maybe because I grew up in the era of like Lucas and Spielberg. I mean, I saw
Right.
E.T. when I was like, what, 6 years old or something? It captured my imagination a great deal. So I think that, I mean, I'm not saying I believe these UFOs are aliens, but boy, do I wish they were.
Right.
Well, yes, but that's not what I mean. I don't consider them a plague on my consciousness. Okay, sure, we look for them. Sure, they're fascinating, but they're not a plague, and they haven't been plaguing my consciousness.
Well, some people live in a very small universe.
Okay.
And therefore that's all
Oh,
there
I
is
like
to
Sean
it.
Carroll's
I gotta ask Bionic something real quick. Have you ever had the urge to sculpt and mash potatoes?
Kind of,
No.
but it wasn't Devil's Tower. It was something I probably can't say on air because it's against community standards. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think the Matterhorn. that thing that Mexican lady
just
had
out of curiosity,
on the tombstone.
if he was sculpting Devil's Tower, did he include Airwolf down in the bottom of the?
Something
I
like
don't
that.
think
Yeah, if
so.
you want to be accurate, yeah.
But he should have, yes, if he's going to be accurate.
I was so disappointed when I found out that Airwolf originally, like the actual helicopter, is like a hospital rescue chopper and not this like badass attack thingy they tried to tell us.
Hmm.
Oh, it's actually an executive transport type of thing.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
an
hospital
executive transport.
but okay.
Have we stalled enough?
Yes.
Oh, the best
You gotta
evidence.
admit that theme is still the best, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
We're going to get the
mean,
best
it is really good,
evidence
but-
here.
Also, Sean Carroll said
last.
it again in the side chat. I can make a UFO easily. Give me a trebuchet and a willing volunteer to be flinged.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, yeah, I think we've stalled significantly, so let's continue on.
Let's find out the best evidence. Number 8, cover
Since the term
story.
UFOs has been stigmatized, I'll be using the term UAPs from here on out. So, what exactly do
Choose
these
an
UAPs look like?
airplane,
Drink.
UAPs
That's
can
a
vary in
U-2.
appearance.
and that's
That's an
a
SR-71.
Yes, tornado.
SR-71.
The difference with the
Or
thing
an
is,
AC-12. Sorry.
the term unidentified flying object hasn't been stigmatized. It just means that there's something in the sky that you haven't identified.
He hasn't
Well,
even
it has been
magnetized.
stigmatized though a bit because people who say that there's a UFO immediately you think this guy's a nut bar.
Right. You
Okay,
automatically think
true.
aliens.
Okay, fair point. But in the other context, if you're just thinking, I saw something I couldn't identify, it was flying, in that case, you're not thinking nut bar. And you have to admit, the shape of the SR-71 Blackbird would make it look like a pretty sweet spacecraft.
Well, I think the other, what is it, the I think it's a stealth bomber. You know the one that sort of looks like a flying triangle?
Yeah, that'd be the bomber.
Yeah,
the
that
Batwing.
would make a much more interesting UFO because it's weird how many UFOs, the ones that aren't circles, are triangles.
Yep.
Are you talking
Triangle
about the
man,
V2 Spirit?
triangle man.
No.
Triangle can.
Or are you talking about the flying Dorito?
The flying Dorito, yes.
I think she's talking about the V2. So.
Anyway, not important.
Yes. Well,
He's going to offer the best evidence here. Let's get him.
go.
let us continue on and see what else he's got.
It's what I commonly seen as flying disc, tic-tac shaped objects, or triangle shape. They seem to defy everything we know about aviation,
That one.
seeming to have no propulsion.
Yeah.
plus
That's an
an
F-117
F-117.
Nighthawk.
Sightings of UAPs have been happening as far back as the
Oh,
ancient
no,
Egyptians,
no.
with claims of
Drink!
body disc in the sky.
Yeah,
And
yeah, we got to come in on that one.
I don't think I ever saw that on the Rosetta Stone.
I think we had tornado first on that one, and then we'll go to RJ.
That is very, 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 very clearly false. In fact, there's even a modern vehicle mixed in with it.
Mhm.
You know what that is? It's that one thing on the left, right next to the ear of corn looking thing. That looks like an Apache longbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in the upper right, it looks remarkably like Luke Skywalker's sand speeder.
And
Yeah.
the middle one, of course, is a flying
Which I
saucer.
wanted one when I was a kid. I really wanted to get one of those.
Yeah.
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 And the bottom right one looks like somebody's shoe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just. I'm going to be 100% honest. This image is probably photoshopped.
Oh,
Probably.
definitely.
You
the
think?
You're gonna be
highlight part was
surprised.
A little iffy to me, yeah.
Let's
You'd be
go over to
surprised.
RJ and see what he's got.
Yeah, because actually there was an Egyptologist that went into this one, and it's not a Photoshop. At least I don't think that particular version that you're seeing it is. What was the case when you look back at the whole inscription? It's a set of inscriptions that somebody, when they revamped for a new pharaoh, put in new inscriptions. And so what you have is that underneath it are the older inscriptions, and of course they've used kind of a quirky picture to make it blur up, to make it seem more striking than it actually is. But that's where that image comes from, and there actually has been an analysis of where it was a pharaoh, I think, in one dynasty, and the new one comes along, so they basically you can't erase the stone, so
Right.
it didn't matter to eliminate the other parts of the image, because the purpose of the inscription is to catapult the god into the afterlife. It was only important the new image be in play. And it just happens to be that these bits and pieces, when you take them out of context, look like stuff that we would go in the same way as the supposed electric light bulb that somebody has from the man.
Wait, so this
Of
is
course,
actually real?
when it's translated, it actually says this is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to persons living or dead. Anyway.
Yes.
This
But
is
yeah,
They had
actually a real
lawyers back
thing?
then, huh?
yeah. According to what RJ said, it sounds like it is a real thing.
Yeah, and what we're seeing with the aircraft and things on the side is the bits
And the robot's back.
over.
We lost you there,
Thank you very
RJ. You're
much,
roboting.
Mr. Robotum.
I'm sorry.
The helicopter hieroglyphs is a name given to a part of an Egyptian hieroglyph carving from the Temple of Seti I at Abydos. In paleo contact hypothesis circles, the hieroglyphs have been interpreted as an out-of-place aircraft depicting a helicopter. The helicopter image is the result of carved stone being reused over time. The initial carving was made during the reign of Seti I and translates to "He who repulses the 9 enemies of Egypt." This carving was later filled in with plaster and recarved during the reign of Ramesses II with "He who protects Egypt and overthrows the foreign countries." Over
Indeed.
time, the plaster has eroded away, leaving both inscriptions partially visible and creating a palimpsest-like effect of overlapping hieroglyphs.
All right, well, don't read it out loud in the original Egyptian or you'll summon the mummy back from the dead.
I've seen that movie.
You see this? This is
Just make sure you got your 9 tennis leaves.
what. So yeah, this is basically another case of debunked in real time.
Oh dear.
So, just out of curiosity, I mean, this is a serious question. Perhaps RJ can answer it. Now, the hieroglyphs are representing an idea or a word or a syllable. How does that?
It's a little bit of each. That we now know that the hieroglyphs, some of them are phonetic elements and some of them are symbolic ones. And they were able to kind of tease a lot of that out because they were able to look at the famous Rosetta Stone, which was this treaty that was signed in Cleopatra's time, where there was one inscription in ancient hieroglyphs, which by then were kind of old-fashioned, and another one in the hieratic written script, and another one in Greek, which is what the Ptolemaic Greeks did. So suddenly they could translate stuff. And once they identified Cleopatra's name and so forth and so on, they began to realize what was going on. It's found a similar situation has taken place with the Maya hieroglyphs that were also symbolic in some respects, but were also phonetic. That one, of course, has only been deciphered literally within my lifetime in the last 30 or 40 years, where they finally figured out what all the symbols mean. So now they can read all the Mayan inscriptions easy peasy.
So does anyone else find it ironic that the hieroglyphs are carved in stone? I know, I'm a computer child. I'll just do everything.
I don't know where you were going with that one, Bionic. Sorry.
Yeah. Because you're high, you're stoned. This is a
Yes.
drug
Oh,
reference.
okay.
This is for those
I keep
of you
forgetting
kids
that
out
we
there
got
that live in a
drug-addled
world without
brain over
drugs.
there.
This is what it refers to.
Yes.
I'm sending a link to be presented in the thing.
In the thing.
Now, funky,
In the green room. The green room.
And the
all you
thing
kids
from the
out there
thing.
who are looking for unclear alphabets and stuff, we still haven't deciphered Minoan linear A, and we still don't have a clue what the hell the Harappa hieroglyphs mean from the Indus Valley in India. So, for those of you who want to make your little thing, translating as yet unknown scripts, there's still a tiny bit, and the Rongo tablets of the Easter Island. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff to go. And Quipu of the Inca. So there, you got a lot of stuff to play with.
Actually, it would be interesting to see how these had developed, because I can't imagine that one day some guy said, okay, this I'm drawing a sun here, and people are like, oh, let's do that. It's just kind of interesting to see how it evolved. Anyway,
As far as we can tell,
off topic here.
certainly the Mesopotamian scripts and to some extent the Egyptian scripts came about out of accountants, to where as people were marking down stuff like who owns what territory and how do we measure what the hell's going on and how many pieces
Someone
of grain
still
have
had
we
to
got
come up with
stored.
the idea and how to mark that too. That's the thing.
Well, that's
Yeah.
another thing when you started having centralized states where you had centralized authorities to go on. And in fact, when you get like the Chinese, when the first Chinese empire was formed under the Qing, they standardized the language. And so they would dictate how symbols were done so that everything would be standardized in the same way that when we formed the United States, pretty soon we're putting standardized time zones to please the railroads and all of that. That's what happens when you give bureaucracies, kid. Okay, I suppose we got to continue watching the movie now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, did you get what I sent
If
to
you were to translate this from the original Egyptian, it would say Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
Yeah.
Aha.
Or Klatubarada Nikto.
Yeah.
One of my
Will do.
favorite Star Trek episodes. So.
Excuse me, did you get the image I sent in the green room, Slice Strickling?
I did, yes. I didn't.
Put that up there if you want.
Alright, hold on one second.
Boy, you're been demanding.
I know, right?
Sorry.
Jeez.
It's probably the Mountain Dew.
Probably.
Probably.
Let's see. I gotta,
I'm pretty sure
revved
it's
up
the
there.
Mountain Dew.
gotta
This
download
will
it.
put the entire mystery that this guy is talking about regarding this set of hieroglyphs to bed. It'll just put it
Ooh,
to
does
bed.
it mean
right
I can go
then.
to sleep?
Yeah.
Bed.
Okay. There we go.
Mm.
Ooh,
Dun,
and he
dun,
highlights
dun.
it to make it look even funkier.
Indeed.
There's a bird
See
sitting on a
cobra being
space egg.
punched right there.
The green stuff is Ramesses II. The blue stuff is Seti I.
Yeah.
You can see how the images of Seti I and Ramesses II have merged to look like those things.
Right.
Yeah, and that's how some things start turning out to be completely different on there.
Yeah.
Pareidolia.
Really cool.
Yeah. isn't that neat?
I don't know. I prefer my Dolia to come singly instead of
No, they
Oh,
only come in
dear.
pairs. This is
You gotta
well
go for
known,
the gusto
they're-
and go
They
for
got
the
a little
triple
like those little
Dolia.
plastic things around them, like you find the drinks in there. You can't find
Right.
one without the other. This was done in the international standards of 12T.
Oh, goodness.
Moving
Anyway,
on.
should we get back to our lovely
Yeah,
video
let's find
here?
out because they still got to
Yes.
give more fabulous evidence for UFOs.
Yeah, really.
All right, and I do actually just want to pause for 1 second here and thank Armageddon's Fire, who gave us a super sticker before the live stream started. So thank you for that, Armageddon's Fire. And we
a
also
super sticker.
a super
Wow.
sticker. And then we also had
ages.
Cajun Crustacean, who joined Movie Night Supporters as a member. So thank you so much, Cajun Crustacean. And with
Sticker was doing a really funky dance too.
it was pretty cute. I liked it. I enjoyed that.
Chicken dance?
No, like a little hopping up and down dance, happy thing. All right, so let us
joy, happy, joy, happy.
let us then get back to our video.
Yeah, get to the science evidence
Yeah.
here for the UFOs.
Even the ancient Sumerians The ancient Sumerians inhabited the area of present-day Iraq, with many claiming that this ancient civilization may have in fact been in contact with aliens or even part alien themselves.
No!
This is
Drink,
because
drink,
the
drink, 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 drink.
Yes,
Oh
RJ?
no, this is Zechariah Sitchin's stuff. This idiot who thinks he understands Sumerian writing and just makes up shit.
Oh,
He's
God.
been criticized up the yin yang, and then apparently people believe some of the stuff he goes. So I mean, this is the worst dregs of stupid that they keep dealing with, and I bet you they won't even mention Sitchin's name.
Probably not.
People who believe Sitchins, including, what's that most famous example that we've reviewed multiple times? Just on
Harun
this channel
Yahya?
Well, no, I'm talking about the other guy.
I don't know which one.
Name starts with a J. Name starts with a J. Has a helium voice.
Oh, Jared.
No, helium voice.
I have no idea.
Spirit science.
Oh, yeah. Him.
Jordan.
Well,
Whatever they
I mean,
are.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm thinking Stargate right now.
You get that? Yeah, just imagine
But
treating
can you
that
find the
as
seventh
a
symbol?
documentary.
That's the question. Yeah. Can't find the seventh
Here
symbol.
you got your
don't know where
basic
you are.
Assyrian wing god here.
Right.
We stick some wings on him.
Oh dear. Well, yeah,
So let's see if they're honest enough to mention Sitchin's name.
yeah, we'll see if they are. I doubt it, but we'll see.
But do you get
Anunnaki,
the,
who originate from the
do you
planet
get the
Nibiru,
sixth
wanted a
element
slave class
from
to
the-
work for them.
Whoa,
Anunnaki
drink.
were based on the Sumerian word of An.
Drink.
Yes,
Now we're
Tornado.
going to the Anunnaki. Okay.
Oh, he said the Anunnaki, but he also
Yeah.
said Nibiru.
Yeah.
He said
That's
that the
fictional-
Anunnaki.
That's all Sitchin's crap.
Yeah, Anunnaki came from the planet Nibiru.
Nibiru being the
A
Sumerian
fictional
word.
planet.
Well, no, Nibiru is the name they gave to the planet Jupiter.
Well, yeah. We
Well, remember
also
when Jupiter is in the second house, and or when Jupiter aligns with Mars, and then there's
Yeah.
peas among the granites
It's
and
the age
gloves
of
lining the bars,
Aquarius.
something like that.
Age of
oh
The
dear.
word retrograde needs to be used somewhere and all that.
Well, I do want to welcome Squirrel with us. We have Lord Croco Squirrel who just joined us. Hello,
Oh,
Squirrel.
I apologize. I've been having the hardest time getting connected.
That's all right. I
Oh,
understand.
you're here now.
We're
it's
glad
not
you're
you.
here
They're
with
using that
us.
steam-powered internet.
Yeah. Well, we're
It's
glad.
definitely my ISP.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. It can be rough, but we're glad to
Yeah,
have you
well-
here with us.
Apparently we've got a few too many hairballs that I missed. What's up with that?
We're
Yeah.
learning the truth of UFOs and Zechariah Sitchin's version of Mesopotamian space aliens.
Yes.
Including Nibiru.
Oh well, no.
And just to let you know, we haven't gotten very far into it, and we're already an hour into the show.
Yeah,
Five drinks.
we're only a minute in. We're only a minute 15 seconds into the video, so
Yes, we should let it go.
I would expect no less of anything produced by Zachariah Sitchin.
yeah.
No less.
Well,
Especially with this
Leave
group.
Hitchens out of this.
Well, what do you
That's
think?
Sitchin. I corrected myself.
Should we continue on and see what else they've got to say?
Yeah, sure. There'll be some science any minute now.
Of course.
The Sumerian god of the sky, and all the deities that the Sumerians worship. The Anunnaki then left Earth and gave these ancient slaves the tools to build their own civilization. If we take a look
Built
at some
the
Sumerian
Saturn
artifacts, you can
V.
see some images that are questionable, such as the flying
Excuse me,
saucer-shaped
what did you
object in the
say?
sky with humanoid figures with an elongated
We just
skull.
saw Saturn V.
Perhaps the
All
He said
right.
the Anunnaki left the planet and left the Sumerian civilization with the Sumerian people with the tools to build their civilization.
With an Apollo rocket?
No, I think that was just supposed to represent
Saturn
them
V rocket?
leaving.
Doesn't matter. He displays a Saturn V,
Yeah.
a complete Saturn V stack, including Apollo command module. He's
Yeah.
stuck with that shit now.
Yeah.
Well, That is not an Apollo capsule. That was nothing like a Saturn V, in fact. I think that was the SLS.
Okay, fine. He's still stuck with it.
I'm talking in general terms anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't actually get a good look, so forgive me for forgive my squirrely ignorance.
For not being precise, yeah.
And Squirrel, you had your hand up as well?
I want to know where any of that came from. Can anybody explain that to me?
I wish we
Forgive my
could.
squirrely
Later
ignorance,
on.
but who is this guy he's talking about? Why is this important? And how the hell did you send somebody into space without having a civilization already in place?
All great questions, Squirrel.
Zachariah Sitchins thinks that the space aliens are responsible for the Sumerian cultures, and that their various gods that look like animals and things were actually mutants that were artificially engineered. And it's a very interesting reading of the Sumerian language about which he knows practically nothing.
Except that you're talking about people, and almost every human civilization, or at least all the ones that I know of that have been recorded, start on with some level of animism before they actually generate proper gods. So you're looking at he's looking at an animal-headed thing, going, "Oh, space alien!"
Right.
That's kind of how he does it, because he's an idiot.
I'm looking at that, going, "Ooh, okay, there's the leftovers of animism turned into polytheism. What a concept!" But then we're still, I don't know. I think we might actually be beyond the Jordan, the crime of the Jordan, in that the Hebrews came from space.
Okay, I
Jews
was wrong.
in space.
I expect that if this has anything to do with Sumerians, that Gozer is going to make an appearance at some point.
Right.
Oh, I'd like to, but at the moment we look like we're going to get weird space heads, so maybe we're going to have.
Okay, yes, it's the Orion rocket. It's the Orion. Apparently, it is the Orion rocket being launched on some sort of moon rocket, but yeah, it's the Orion capsule.
The Orion capsule rather than the Apollo capsule.
Yeah.
Okay, but that still doesn't. That still makes the rest of that stack still look like Saturn V.
I think it's the SLS.
Yeah.
I'd
Look
like
like a rocket thingy.
just to resolve this question, I'd like to go back about 15-20 seconds and actually look at that image.
Right.
It's the Artemis. It's the Artemis. It's the Artemis rocket.
Are you sure?
Let us so stipulate and move on to the space head.
Oh, I guess my hand doesn't mean anything.
We didn't get that far yet. Hold on. There we go. I'm going back in the
you're
video.
scrolling back. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Tornado. I'll give you that one. That does actually look like the Artemis. I will take my hand down so that Chris can be next.
All right.
I'm good now.
We'll go over to Chris. Chris.
Sorry, I had to.
That's okay.
Had to answer the window there for a moment.
That's okay.
I don't remember exactly what I was going to start off with, but one of the things I wanted to say was that skull from the Crystal Kingdom?
It's possible.
Unlikely.
I mean, that was a horrible, horrible Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
There were
Never been
only
made.
3
That skull again?
Indiana Jones movies.
See that skull again.
Only 3.
Yeah.
Let me pin you here. Okay. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, that skull is actually of African origin, and probably much more recent than Sitchins thinks it is. There are several tribes that will bind the skulls of young ladies, especially at birth, to create this larger head shape.
I was thinking that was probably a female skull, just given the brow ridge size.
Yeah, well, I approach it from what I study of that particular culture, which admittedly wasn't a lot, but I do know that was actually that's actually a common thing even today. Although a great many people have gone to the trouble of trying to eliminate that practice.
Right.
It's not working very well. the deformation in the skull is actually caused by biting. Bind the skull, and they just shape it as they go along. You wind up with a kind of a cone shape coming from the crown.
Yeah, the cone heads. We're from France.
Yeah, something like that. Oh dear.
I did remember what I was going to say.
Actually, it looks like so.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Chris.
I do remember what I was going to say before. 42. Thank you.
The answer to the
Indeed.
question of life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah.
Which means, there's no further discussion. It's all done now.
Exactly.
Right.
And I actually got into this big honking argument with some people on Twitter about. I mean, I'm an artist. I had
You
to
never
take
argue with
anatomy,
Twitter.
and I like know facial anatomy, like bone structure, fairly well. And someone took exception to the fact that I said just based on things like that, I can usually tell the different Asian countries apart, like people from the different countries, and they really got on my case for that crap. But what factored highly into it was actually brow ridge size, and don't get me started. People on Twitter are idiots.
Yes, Twitter
An
is
argument
terrible.
on Twitter, you don't
Here's the
say.
fun part. Here's the fun part. You can see a Japanese, Korean, and a Chinese all standing side by side, and it'd be difficult to pick apart, especially the women. However, once you strip the skin off the skull, it becomes relatively obvious.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it also gets you in prison.
For what?
that too.
Well,
That's
if you don't have their permission to strip their skin off, I mean,
Well, that's true.
Definitely, that
Obviously, we're
steps
talking
across the line. We all can agree, okay?
Let's
Indeed.
assume for a moment that I am not inclined to commit actual murder.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Go
very
back and
reassuring.
Go back and look at a skull, and look at 3 skulls, 1 Japanese, 1 Korean, 1 Chinese, and you can
My
see
3 Skulls, wasn't that an old TV series on CBS?
RJ.
Oh dear.
And from the structure of the face, the brow ridge, cheekbones usually, and the nose specifically, you can tell the difference. But if you look at them in life, if you know exactly what you're doing and you've grown up with one of these types, you can tell the other 2 from the type that you're a part of, but generally not the difference between the two that you've identified as not, say, Japanese.
Now, as
The
we
thing is, I
resume the
actually
video,
can do it. That was part of the argument. Is like I'm actually pretty able to tell, partly because I lived in Seattle and there's a huge Asian population, and so
Right.
it got. But I mean, the argument was so stupid. It really was. It was like, don't get me started. It was about fetishes and all sorts of stuff, and people brought up race. I don't even want to get into it.
Okay.
now all that scientific
There's a reason.
information, as we resume the video, forget all that because
Yeah.
we're about to get crap.
One more
Exactly.
thing, there is a reason that a great many people refer to Twitter as the ultimate cancer, mostly of the brain.
Yeah.
Well, and yet all these people on Twitter get on my case for also being on Facebook as well. They're like, Facebook is just for grandma and grandpa, which is so weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's strange. But let's continue on and see what else we've got here.
We got some
I know,
science
I
to get.
No, we're not going to get to any. We already know that.
Of the
It's
class
Zachariah
that would
said
elongate their skulls. This does not entirely mean they are alien. Perhaps it was part of the culture. We see trends like this still to this day, like people elongating their necks, so I see this as being closer to reality. This is a bit of a crazy story and seems to fall a bit on the tinfoil hat side of things. So, I would take this all with a grain of salt. Today,
Wow,
we are
you're
still on the
sounding
hunt for
reasonable.
whether or not these UAPs can be explained. For years, these sightings of UAPs have been discredited and dismissed in order to stop those that come forward wanting to speak about the matter. Now that the government is indeed confirming accounts of UAPs,
Yes, Squirrel.
UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, previously known as an unidentified flying object or UFO.
We actually covered that.
If you
at the
don't know
start of
what
the
it,
video.
if you're looking at something on a radar screen and it doesn't pop up, and it doesn't actually pop up as what it actually is, it is by definition an unidentified flying object. They changed the terminology in order to try and obfuscate what they're doing here.
Right.
Mind you, the three little lights. I've heard tell of the actual solution to that one. It's a trio of fireflies wandering around that somebody with a very bad camera filter zoomed up on.
Yeah, he kind of covered that at the beginning. He talked about UFOs and how the term was, what was the word he used? Sorry,
Stigmatized.
Yes, stigmatized. So he's calling them the other name instead because UFO is... yeah, he kind of covered that at the beginning. Indeed. We also had Tornado with the hand up.
Yeah, no, they don't get, discredited or prevented from coming forward. Nothing is preventing these people from coming forward. The reason they're dismissed is because they can't provide any credible evidence.
Right.
Citation fucking needed.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well,
Pinch
that
Pokemon
just means
Coke.
that scientists are canceling them, of course.
Yeah.
Oh no, we wouldn't want that now. Yeah,
Oh, dear.
you're going to say something stupid. We're going to mock you for saying the stupid thing.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong. Although 99.999999999 continuing, percent of the time you are in fact wrong. So horrifyingly wrong that, and in a great many cases, you can't even be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You have no grounding from which to be wrong.
Pretty much. Oh dear. All right. Well, let's
Your current idea is stupid, and you should probably rethink it.
let us continue on, shall we?
No.
Too bad. Here we go.
We should prepare for any possibility for better or worse. In the most recent past, the Roswell incident and the Battle for LA are popular examples of UAP incidents. The Roswell incident took place in July 1947 in Corona, New Mexico. A rancher named W.W. Mac Brazel discovered debris on his property that he was originally going to dispose of. He then realized that this could have something to do with UAPs, so he had it inspected by the local sheriff. The sheriff then reported it to the military, which in turn, William Hott issued a press release that a flying disc had been recovered. Later on, the claim of a flying disc was dismissed and changed to a weather balloon being recovered. With the change of stories, there was talk of a cover-up that was pushed to hide what was really uncovered at the Roswell incident.
Drink.
Later on,
Charles Brulettes.
Yes, Tornado.
With all this talk of cover-ups and whatnot, you would expect someone to, post actual evidence of a cover-up.
Right.
That many people working on a UFO cover-up like that, the secret would have eventually spilled, guaranteed.
Right.
Well, the security of a secret is inversely proportional to the number of people who are aware of it or know what it is.
Bionic Dance, you also had your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't important really, but it's pretty clear that what's on the screen right now is some sort of museum exhibit, and those are mannequins, just saying. Those are not real humans staying there.
Yeah, no, that's clearly through, glass and roped off and all that.
Even if it's, through glass, it could just be some sort of observation.
Well, true.
But it's clearly not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're right.
Actually, Kate, if I may, just a moment. Sorry, RJ. That is in fact a museum. That is in fact a museum exhibit at the Roswell Museum.
Oh, there's a Roswell Museum. I did not know that.
Me neither.
There is a museum in the town of Roswell. It exists. This is actually a picture of that.
Aha. Interesting.
It'd be so much cooler if they were animatronic,
right?
Things.
Wouldn't it be though? I would actually think I'd pay money to see them get up off that gurney, smack the other two, and then lay back down.
Right.
The dude in the hat is just such a sort of stereotypical 50s whatever G-man look. It's hilariously bad.
It is. Oh dear. RJ, you also had your hand up?
Yeah, Charles Berlitz. I immediately go, at anything connected to Charles Berlitz. He is the Eric von Daniken of that ilk. who wrote umpteen silly books about the Bermuda Triangle and UFOs and all sorts of claptrap, and he had absolutely no credibility and not even a terribly good writer. So he was just
Jeez.
a doofus. So anybody waving anything by Charles Berlitz is like, let's just set our head on fire.
Right.
What about if someone's waving something written by L. Ron Hubbard? Oh wait, that's Scientology.
Yeah, Charles Berlitz. The only thing separating him from L. Ron Hubbard is Hubbard turned it into a religion.
All right, so hear me out on this one. We cross Scientology over with Lord of the Rings and have L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Hey, your coat is on your left.
Oh boy. Well, Tornado, you also had your hand up still, or was that still up?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I just want to make sure we're good. All right, well, let us continue on then and see what else he's got.
Or even claims of alien bodies at the site. Talks of the bodies did not appear until the 1980s, 31 years after the incident. Many of these claims were completely false or even contradicting. B.D. Gildenberg, who worked for the Air Force, called it the most thoroughly debunked UFO claim. He then went on to say there were 11 accounts of alien bodies, but the accounts did not resemble the original story. Marcel, a lieutenant colonel in the late 1970s, said that there wasn't any resemblance to a flying saucer, with the debris merely being tinfoil and wood, and there was no switch in his original photo. This was only claimed by Marcel after many skeptics and UFO advocates agree it was from a balloon device. Marcel is the same man that claimed to be a pilot with 5 air medals from shooting down enemy pilots, which wasn't true. There then can be claims that he is being discredited and they are still trying to hide the truth. At this point, it may seem that those people will be grasping at anything for this to be a cover-up. Don't get me wrong, there's an other side to the story besides it just being a straight hoax, like the consistent descriptions of what the alien bodies look like from many different accounts.
Yes, Squirrel?
Okay, so we see the alien body. He's now talking about the alien body. Does it strike anybody as odd that these things are completely humanoid? All the way down to the toes?
Are all aliens humanoid?
except that we're talking about DNA if we even have DNA,
Right.
that would have arisen on some other place using some unknown method. How do we get from this thing here uses completely different chemicals to build its DNA? Oh, look, that's a human. That's something identifiably humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the chances of this are astronomically small.
Right.
And if by some chance it would happen, their internals would be so thoroughly different from anything we can imagine. Their anatomy would just make it impossible to even be bothered with an autopsy.
Right.
Pull it open. This thing that might be a heart. That thing that might be a heart, a lung, and not everybody keeps their genitals in the same place.
Right.
I mean,
to be fair, if you've got you have a circulatory system of some kind. You have that in arthropods, and you have that in humans.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, even
there's going to be some sort of need to have some kind of organic tissue and so forth and so on. So yeah, put it there. But the problem is that no one has ever actually found an alien body, and therefore all of this is moot.
Right.
I mean, even one of the guys from The Big Bang Theory. Sorry.
See, here's the thing.
Sure.
The pumping devices, I'll give you those. Okay, of some description or another, but would it resemble a heart as we know it? Probably not. I mean, you could have like something that does something that works like an atrium over here, another one over there, up behind the shoulder blade, or something, or local equivalent. Mm-hmm. And the ventricles could be down in his hips. We don't know.
Right.
And would we necessarily recognize such an object?
Mm-hmm.
Physiology is thoroughly alien.
It's true. We also did have Bionic Dance with the hand up.
Yeah, the more we go through this video, it seems a little like it's got a flip personality where it seems like he is debunking and advocating these things
Yeah.
at the same time, and I'm not really sure what his position actually is.
Right.
He's
but also, I
Two-Face
mean,
from
as
Batman.
as like a sci-fi fan from earliest childhood, I have spent a lot of time trying to picture what tool-using aliens might look like if they weren't bipeds. You know, I mean, it seems like the opposable thumb or something similar would almost be a necessity, but after that, I'm not sure, like, what else they could possibly look like. I've thought about it a lot. It doesn't help that most sci-fi is limited by special effects capabilities, and so most aliens end up being humanoid.
Right.
On like TV and in the movies. I don't know. It's something I've thought about way the heck too much, I'm sure.
Well, you could always find up with an alien that actually has that 6-digit alien that has a second thumb.
Yeah.
And that was actually a race that appeared in a book, and I forget the name of the author. The omnibus was referred to as the Minervan experiment.
Well, this video is from a channel just called What, WHAT. It's only got about 500 subscribers, and really, just from the other content on their channel, there's not much. But from what is on their channel, it's not entirely clear which direction this person is going. So I'm not too sure.
If I were to ask what's up with what, then
I'd
we'd
say
have
who?
to go into a whole routine about who's on first.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm not entirely sure which direction this person is going, but I guess we should continue on and find out. Maybe we'll get that answer, or
Yeah,
maybe
well,
we won't.
Maybe there'll be a reference bibliography at the end.
Absolutely.
Hey, oh, I see.
Oh dear. All right. Well, here we go.
Bad, RJ. Bad. You expect a reference bibliography.
Maybe this was Project Mogul, a project that used balloons and microphones to detect sounds from enemy nuclear tests. I would love for there to be some more concrete information rather than some random guy who heard it through the grapevine. Of course, it would not make much sense for me to say nothing has ever been covered up. The reason is we have several examples of this happening before. For example, Pentagon letters confirming that there are indeed UAPs in the sky, even though the same topic has been discredited for years.
Drink.
The story of the Roswell incident does go much deeper than what I have covered.
Yes, Tornado.
Yeah. You also had breakfast this morning. If you were saying there are things that haven't been identified in the sky, no one's arguing with you. But then you make the jump to aliens, and that's where we start getting kind of, whoa, hold on, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, it's clearly the Russians,
Clearly.
right?
Like,
I mean,
seriously.
I'm only half joking, but it seems like
Yeah.
a lot of these things happen Cold War era, so
That's true.
It's like you say there's UAPs or UFOs and UAPs in the sky. No one's arguing with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
There are things in the sky that haven't been identified.
like
Right.
Lucy and all those diamonds.
Very funny, but the
Actually,
thing-
it comes down to a question of yet.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been identified yet. As
they
a
haven't
matter
been
of fact,
identified.
there was one piece of video here a while back, and it's been a couple of years ago now that was released. People like, oh look, this thing's going under that aircraft or under that fighter jet. It must be moving really fast. No, it's not moving really fast. It's really, really, really freaking small, and it turned out to be a fracking bird, a
Right.
seabird, most likely a gull.
Yeah.
Thing is, yeah, like you said, there are things in the sky that haven't been identified yet, but that doesn't automatically imply aliens.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, darn it, I wish it would, because that would be exciting.
Yeah. Seriously.
It'd be fun and cool, and it would save so much thing because then they could just go to the space aliens and film them directly and not have to worry about all that plastic and crap.
Yeah. Well, according to Gina Marie Calvin Hill, there, the old sci-fi movies are documentaries. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Unfortunately, I heard about her relatively recently from London. I've been going through her stuff
Yeah.
to see if maybe I couldn't find something worth doing a debunk on.
Not with her.
Nothing that's really worth it.
She's
No.
amazingly exasperating and
Yeah.
incredibly strangely wandering, and she manages to pull more crap out of less material than almost anybody that I've ever seen.
It's true.
Speaking of really weird people, anybody remember Megan Fox in the Field Museum?
No.
Yeah, where she walked right at the end. She goes. She was talking about the dragon.
Spoiler.
Right after it was Dracorex Hogwartsia. It's a dinosaur. It later determined to be a juvenile pachycephalosaur. But she said, nope, that's a dragon. My kids say it's a dragon. It's a fucking dragon. And I just this is 7 or 8 years ago now. She actually reached out and struck my response video down. So mean.
Yeah. Well,
And Gina would probably
A petulant organism.
well, should we? Well, I mean, I know we shouldn't, but we will
Yeah, we
continue
still gotta
on.
get to that science part. We're
Yeah.
gonna figure out whether this guy is pro or anti or both.
We're about halfway through.
How much of who is there?
We're about halfway through it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, no, we've got a good half hour. We've got a good half hour, maybe an hour or so. We could probably consume.
Yeah, right.
Annoying.
Well, let's continue on. Here we go.
In this video, if you did find this interesting, I would recommend that you delve deeper into the rabbit hole. If these UAPs were of extraterrestrial origin, what is their mission? Why do they seem to be merely watching from a distance rather than attacking and taking our resources? In the past, maybe like
Drink.
Yes, Bionic Dance.
Well, I mean, what if their mission was, say, like Starfleet's mission? What if they really are studying? What if they're the Jane Goodall of Alpha Centauri? I mean, come on. I get it. Maybe they would attack us and try to take our resources, but that, to me, sounds like imposing human values on aliens. That might
Right.
be what we would do, but, not necessarily. It's a vast-ass universe. Unless they were trying to find a new place to live, they have plenty of resources to exploit elsewhere.
Elsewhere.
So, I mean, dude goes, why aren't they conquering us? That's presumptuous as fuck, I say.
Right.
It's always a sad
But
thing
that's
when
what we-
bad
that's
things
because
happen to
that's what
good
we
works.
Well, we just real quick, we did have a super chat from Cephalopope who says we need Seti Kaiba to find the aliens and challenge them to a children's card game. Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate it. And we'll go over to Tornado.
Does
sorry.
anybody remember the rules to Fizbin?
No.
No, I don't know anybody that knew to begin with.
Yeah, but
Yep. Go ahead, Tornado.
as far as wanting resources, I mean, if they're looking for resources, this was addressed in Independence Day. They could just go, some of the most stupid alien civilizations to exist, sort of thing. If they wanted resources, they could literally go to an asteroid or comet or whatever and mine all the resources they want out of that. If they're looking for water, oh gee, there's Europa, there's Enceladus, there's several options where you can get all the water you need.
How is this not exactly what I just said?
And on top of that, if they really wanted to attack us, we would be dead right now, and we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Right.
Well, what if they decided to infect us all with some sort of disease, a kind of strain of the flu, perhaps, or some kind of
Right.
I don't know, something that causes pock marks and all that. And
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh dear. All right. Well, let's continue on a little bit more here and see what else we've got.
I believe that many of these so-called encounters may in fact be hoaxes. To what ends, I don't know. But what I do know is that the Pentagon did have some things to show in recent times that have turned the heads of many skeptics. By no means am I saying that these sightings are in fact of extraterrestrial origin, but the thought that they could be is quite interesting. Former Pentagon members have some information that give us insight as to what these UAPs are here for. Chris Mellon, a former Pentagon member, has given his ideas and explanations behind these UAPs in an interview with CTV News. Christopher Mellon worked for the Department of Defense, which can be seen on the Harvard website using the Wayback Machine. Chris then
Arguments from
describes how
authority.
these UAPs are typically around military operations and sworn military
What the
warships.
hell is that?
They seem to be here to observe what we are capable of by watching our military operations. At times, they even seem to want to be seen in order to test our defenses. In a different interview with Chris with The Hill, he goes on to say that the silence from the Air Force is baffling. Even when the Navy and the Air Force are operating in the same area, the Air Force do not go on to report these incidents, but the Navy in turn does. Chris goes on to make a good point. It makes just as much sense as there being hidden submarines along the coastline that the Air Force reports on, but not the Navy. Chris then says that the options of it being classified projects from the USA or foreign governments are probably not the explanation. So he says that the alien hypothesis does fit the facts. There may even be multiple different operations.
Yes, Tornado.
This is a classic case of our friend here asserting that X equals 0 means Y equals 1. This is a false dichotomy.
Yeah,
The
pretty
thing
much.
is, the Air Force might not want to report on classified military tests of their aircraft because, oh gee,
It's
they're
classified.
classified.
Right.
Think, monkey, think.
Well, I think
Also,
he did kind of make that point a little bit, but
Also note that the point someone tried to make, the Navy is never in a million years going to report the location of submarines off the coast of anything.
right.
Because the first thing somebody with a narc on is going to do is go get them. And you don't want our submarines to go boom. So we don't tell people where they got off to.
Right.
This one here, left from here. Where is it going to turn up? We don't know. Where's it being stationed? We don't know that either. Maybe it's it's been missing from its birth over there for like 2 weeks. It could be fracking anywhere.
Right.
Well, I think we're missing the big question, the most important question here, which is whether or not these aliens have their seat backs and tray tables in the full upright and locked position.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Because they don't
Yeah, of course, because you can survive a plane crash with, when you do that, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I am absolutely certain that aliens that can get themselves over interstellar distances have managed to perfect the airbag.
Also, Mark Beiser said it best to Kitsune Cavalier. If you were an advanced alien civilization capable of interstellar travel, would you want to have any contact with a planet full of fuckwits like us?
Probably not.
No.
Well, I mean, then there's always the one where you have the teenage aliens driving their hot rod spaceships
Right.
around the swamps of Florida. So
There was a movie. It was called Teenagers from Outer Space. Also, a really hilarious role playing game. Yeah, that was a thing.
And then there's also the movie Explorers, where basically these aliens send dreams to a bunch of kids about circuit boards. They build the circuit boards. It turns out to be a spaceship that they can then take to go meet the aliens,
Oh,
who
jeez.
turn out to be children who just wanted to
I
understand.
remember that. Yeah. Oh God, that was a horrible.
The
Oh, I love that movie. It was so much fun.
Rolls down one hill, hardly get up on it.
Well, let's
When it came out, I was like, what, 10 or something, 11, 12. I don't know. I was pretty young when it came out, so obviously I loved it.
let's go over to Squirrel. You still had your hand up. Sorry about that.
I apologize. I actually interjected what I wanted to say in the middle of everything.
Ah,
So,
okay.
oh, that's
No
right.
worries.
It was actually the previous drink call that I had to get up to deal with. the lights that they were seeing in those particular formations, you're talking about running lights for what is most likely an identifiable aircraft or aircrafts.
Right.
That particular formation is actually one commonly used by fighters over land. Over land here on this continent or in other friendly pieces of territory. When they get into unfriendly pieces of territory, that's when those lights tend to go off.
Right.
So,
Well,
that chevron formation, it's actually very common for a large wing.
Well, let's go over to RJ, who's also got his hand up.
I'm reminded of the various aircraft sightings that came out, and they had to release footage on it and so forth and so on. Situation where fantastically sophisticated targeting systems that people are. Oops.
People are whoops.
It's the mega whoops. Oh no.
They have silenced RJ.
RJ's been canceled by SETI.
Yeah,
Area 51.
exactly. All
Xander,
right.
down.
Talk to
Bad
us,
kitty.
RJ.
For whatever
I'm
reason,
back.
my cat
Yes,
was
the
on
space
top of
people
the
interfered.
refrigerator, and that's not allowed.
Oh, geez. Yeah, no, that's not good.
Mid-sentence with whoops.
As I was saying, if the of highly sophisticated targeting systems are glitching up and people are reporting seeing weird stuff that they're using because they're on their little screens, but there may in fact be problems with the system, and you don't want to suddenly blurt out that you have a problem with your system,
Right.
releasing it and saying, we ain't saying it's UFOs, but some people say it's UFOs. We can't really comment on that. Thank you very much. Isn't this pretty pictures? We're mysterious, scratching our heads, bloop, 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 and away we go.
Right.
So that strikes me as at least a possibility on that. It's very practical. In the same way that when they were seeing sightings on their early radar equipment that were weird, is it invading Russians? Is it space people? You know, it's like naturally they're going to pay attention to the national security implications on it. My bet is that it's more likely that we have a glitch up in the electronic system that they're trying to downplay than flotillas of joyriding space aliens are flitting in and out to no apparent purpose for decades.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, let's continue on. We've still got some more to go
let's
here.
get to the science.
Yeah, sure.
Instantaneous RJ.
Barriers behind these UAPs,
but
as there have been
they
several types of UAPs
promised
that have been
us.
observed over time. We can only hope that if these UAPs are of extraterrestrial origin, they are not here to fight and are only covering themselves if we do turn hostile towards them. It's also been testified by U.S. officers that the UAPs may in fact be here to help us prevent problems from our own nuclear weapons. If a foreign government did manufacture those aircrafts, how would we even begin to fight this, let alone defend against them? Looks like we need to start funding the XCOM project. Maybe even then we wouldn't stand a chance against the
Oh my
alien
gosh, is this
opposition.
actually...
We'll be
Yeah.
taking a look at a former
what
Pentagon
the-
Yeah.
employee, Luis Elizondo.
I swear that was footage from
God damn it.
XCOM 2.
I think it was, unfortunately.
Yes, it was. XCOM is a series of video games. We don't do that here. We're
Yeah.
we are absolutely 150% looking for actual footage, not somebody referring to a video game.
Right.
And don't get me started about that last XCOM game. That was
Naughty.
Oh dear.
And now we've got what looks like a guy who stormed the Capitol on January 6th.
Yeah,
Yeah, really.
it's possible.
Have fun storming the Capitol. Think it'll work? It'll take a miracle.
Yeah. All right, let's continue on.
As we continue to look into these UAPs, Luis once ran the Pentagon's UFO/UAP program, otherwise known as ATIP, for a decade and eventually
Yeah,
resigned from his
looks like
position in order to bring awareness to what he calls UAP problem.
Head of the brain
It has been
trust,
proven that he did indeed have a position in this program by a letter from Harry Reid, who was at the time the Senate Majority Leader. After Luis's resignation, he went on to join To the Stars
it's
Academy of
back
Arts and
from a
Sciences,
Mormon.
which he and Chris Mellon did leave in 2020. He released 3 videos that then came to be known as the Pentagon UFO videos, which were confirmed to be legitimate. In another interview with GQ, he goes on to say many of the same points as Chris Mellon. such as UAPs not being from the US or from a foreign government, no signs of propulsion, and how we have no idea how these crafts could even exist. Luis is then able...
Was that a drink call?
Yes.
That was a drink.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell. Sorry. Yes. Squirrel.
This is one of the video that I was talking about earlier is actually one of these. They couldn't say one way or the other what this actually was.
Mm-hmm.
So that does not necessitate that it is aliens.
Right.
And then people that I gave earlier, which is actually from this particular video, it turned out to be a flipping bird. A large bird. That's it. You cannot, there is not a way to work around this that will make it aliens.
Right.
What if
It's an alien bird.
Oh my goodness, the two
Yeah,
of you.
see, you didn't
You
think
only
about that, did you?
Alien bird, where are the aliens that brought it here?
Yeah.
Up
It
in
is
the
not by
sky.
def-
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a UFO. And
It's from Planet
They're
X.
already
but
here. The
technically, I mean,
birds are
Superman
here.
is an alien, so technically, anyway.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying. But yeah, let's
Yes. Or-
what was that?
Okay.
Tell me, Superman's not a documentary.
All right, let us continue on.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out how Supergirl is his cousin or whatever.
to explain some stories like the Kraft Tic Tac story. A pilot named Commander Fraser went to investigate the object, which was shaped like a Tic Tac, using evasive maneuvers. The Tic Tac shaped object kept its distance, and when the pilot went to charge it to get a better look, it disappeared. Afterwards, the same Tic Tac was found already at the rendezvous point that was selected before the encounter. The speed and dexterity of this object is impressive and not possible without current technology. We then take a look into one of the Pentagon videos, the Gimbal video, where he goes on to explain in a good amount of detail how this is puzzling and contradicts what we currently know about aviation. The rotation of the craft without losing altitude, no signs of propulsion, and looks more like a top than an aircraft. There was talk about there being a whole fleet of these crafts. He then lists the 5 observables of a UAP.
Yes.
The fact that that thing stayed completely centered, to me, implies that it's something on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's
didn't,
exactly the
like
fish
the guy
I was
didn't have
thinking
to
of when
shift
I mentioned
around
my
at all to keep it in his sights, not even a tiny, tiny, tiny ass bit.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's like, you know, a bit of grit or like a bug on the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm
that's
just-
possible.
Especially since that's actually a gun camera, it's easy enough. It's easy enough to twerk those out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But let's see what he's got to say about instantaneous acceleration.
Instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic velocity, low observability, ability to
Right.
operate in multiple environments, and anti-gravity.
Yes.
Instantaneous acceleration. Let's just unpack that for a second. Having instantaneous acceleration means that you're going really, really fast, really, really quickly.
No, you are wrong, sir.
You sure?
What it means is that you are changing your velocity very quickly.
That's
If you're
what I meant to
talking
say.
about instantaneous acceleration, depending on how much velocity you're picking up all at once, you are going to be pulling some serious G-forces. And if you're talking about something that'll get you the hell out of Dodge very quickly,
Like
you have
hypersonic flight.
something. If you're going from 0 to hypersonic or even superluminal, you will experience a period of infinite G-forces. What is that going to do to the? What does that?
Which
do?
is why the aliens resemble extruded pate.
But I mean, obviously they're aliens. They have artificial gravity, etc., etc. I mean, they have inertial compensators. Clearly,
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
In actuality,
Clydon waves.
I mean, acceleration is. Oh, sorry, don't mean to have my hand in the middle of the camera here. Acceleration is just a vector, so you can have positive or negative acceleration, and I mean, it could be that you're slowing down also, so it'd be slowing down really fast, and then you really would get RJ's description of extruded biological material there.
Yeah.
So,
More like chunky salsa.
going from ludicrous speed to stopping.
And after all, that produces spaghettification, and that's where the flying spaghetti monster comes from. It all connects up together, gang.
Well, I believe the best possible way to phrase this would be, simply put, you're going face first into the equivalent of a tungsten carbide wall.
Actually, you would not be. If you're accelerating along the forward part of the vector, you would fall back into the bulkhead behind you and turn into a huge splat. Tomato sauce.
As we all know, however, the
green
space
pepper.
aliens used H.G. Wells's anti-gravity paint that was
Yeah.
invented by Dr. Caver back in 1897. I mean, read your history,
Yeah,
man.
no.
And what happened when that chunky salsa suddenly came to a stop?
It would fall. It would dribble down the wall.
I just keep thinking of
That's
the
what aliens
test
do for
footage.
sex.
I just keep thinking of the test footage I saw when they put the F4 on a rocket sled and slammed it into a wall that would be representative of a nuclear dome. And it just, as it's going into the dome, you don't see any more of the plane. It just goes
Right.
to total disintegration. It's a cool thing. I think it's a nasty thing to do to an F4, but
Yeah.
it still
Agreed.
looks cool.
All
Well,
right.
The F4 has an interesting sort of history. The people that ordered it wanted a thing that could fly, and that could fly really quickly, and be really hard to kill. So what did the designers do? They put together a big metal box resembling for all the world a brick shithouse, welded on the biggest engines they could find, little stubby wings and a cockpit, and then said, okay, if we've got all kinds of thrust on this thing, I wonder if it'll fly. Lo and behold,
The theory is put a powerful enough engine on a brick, it's going to fly. But my dad was a F4 pilot, and he said one time when he was flying in formation, and he said to his backseater that he's going to turn the autopilot on, and he says, no, don't turn the autopilot on. Turned the autopilot on and went into a 2G climb.
Jeez.
His lead said, hey, where'd you go?
Jeez. Oh dear.
An idea for like an upscale pub for people from the UK, and it was going to be
Yeah.
called a chic Brit house.
Oh
I'll
dear.
just see myself out. Before security roughs me up on the way.
Right.
Freak out. Says chic.
Anyway, let's continue on. We've still got a little ways to go here, so let's keep
He's got
going.
his little anti-gravity issue to review,
Right.
as
Into
opposed
no
to Uncle
propulsion or
Gravity.
cockpit. Luis then says we are here. It's no longer a debate anymore, referring to the UAPs. Perhaps they are not here to disrupt our lives, like we don't try to disrupt other creatures here on our planet. These crafts have been reported for years, so it makes no sense to believe people had this technology in the 50s.
Why are
One
we
thing
putting
Luis
this
made sure
footage
to
in?
mention was that they are definitely a threat, as they can operate like this with no...
Right.
Yes, squirrel.
Okay.
This man has no neck.
Yes, it has no neck. I actually blame the advent of science fiction for all of the shit we're hearing right now. As science fiction has progressed, the everything starts getting more and more complicated. You ever notice how that Roswell alien from the footage in the 19th that showed up during the 1980s has absolutely dictated the appearance of every fucking alien since?
Right.
Well,
Especially when
but
you
part
get
of that
people
is
that are
still the
supposed-
limitation.
have supposedly been abducted, and then when they do the sketch, it's the X-Files aliens.
Yeah, but part of that is also just the limitations of Hollywood and special effects. I mean, things are getting better. I don't know if anyone's been watching the Orville, but Yaphet is clearly nothing like those aliens.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but
I'm talking about the abductees who actually describe a completely humanoid creature with an identifiable head that look like the things that were shown in the King X-Files or the Roswell film.
Well, but it's
I still
obvious
think-
that the X-Files took inspiration from the Roswell film, and
Right.
Yeah, this goes all the way
they
back
have done
to
a
the
bunch of studies
1960s
actually.
with the early contact.
Like I saw
I'm
something
just
where they
gonna
did
stop talking.
studies to try and figure out like the psychology of this, and like it turns out that there is sort of a pareidolia thing going on with most of these like abductees and everything.
Right.
That I would need to
That's
look it up
exactly
again, but
where
I
I
read
was going,
something
Kate.
about like explanations for why they're so common, these alien encounters, and it's all got like psychological explanations.
Right.
You know, it's just the
Kate,
human brain.
that was where Kate,
What?
clearly that is exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
That is where I was going with that.
All right. Get that
All I
faster,
know is
guess.
that if I ever came across an alien that looked like Kim Basinger, I'd be very happy.
That would be good. I would appreciate that. I would thoroughly approve.
Right.
It's like the reptilians. Nobody talked about reptilians until V.
Right.
Alrighty, well, let's continue on here.
Repercussions from us, but it does not necessarily mean they have hostile intent. With men like Luis and Chris coming out and speaking about UAPs, it's given more credibility to these topics, unlike the tinfoil hat conspiracies. These men have credible backgrounds and come with verified videos of UAPs rather than just talk about supposed footage. This in fact confirms that yes,
Dinosaur
the
fell.
government has been hiding information from the general public for many years. This in turn sows distrust in the government, which in turn can lead to the tinfoil hat conspiracists that will not believe
I don't
any
believe
word
that
from the
place
government.
exists.
I'm not saying that, yes, you should believe every word that comes from these
Speak
men,
out
but for
against
me, it has
tinfoil
certainly opened my mind to the possibility
conspiracists.
of these
Yeah.
UAPs being of alien origin. Lewis and Chris are not without their criticisms, as stated by Keith Clort, the writer. Elizondo
Bless
and
you.
Malin have come to rely on a largely passive, incredulous press to generate sensational UFO headlines, not to mention going to an entertainment company rather than a news source. These are some criticisms of these men, but I have to say, they aren't a death sentence to their credibility like some may believe them to be. I'll also mention that people in the past have made hoaxes for either fame or financial gain, which could be happening here for both Chris and Luis. With proof of their involvement and credible evidence, it would be hard for anyone to say these men are complete hoaxes. Perhaps in the
You're
future,
supposed to
more
believe that
information
was
will be
real
released to
footage?
give us a better
Frank!
insight into the investigation.
Yes, Squirrel?
Mr. Pass needs to define credible.
Yeah.
We already know which direction he's going now, but I want to know what credible evidence consists of.
Right.
Because I haven't.
Reruns of Alf.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
The historical
that's-
documents.
That Muppet is the one thing I haven't seen described by the average UFO abductee.
Right. Oh dear. Well, we're almost through here, so let's see if we can get through to the end.
Of UAPs. We may even get the answer to whether these UAPs are of extraterrestrial origin or not. The only reason I've seen as to why this information is hidden
That's
is
a
because it
big
may cause a
head.
panic among the population. Maybe we will only get breadcrumbs until they do feel that we have come to the point where the general populace will accept the real possibilities of extraterrestrials.
Space
Now, only time will tell what the outcome will be for these UAPs. Whether it be hidden technology or aliens, I will look forward to the inevitable conclusion to this story that has been building up to a climax for years. I'll be linking the videos I found interesting in the description if you would like to take a look. So thanks. If you have anything you would like me to cover, let me know. If you enjoyed my content, please
Anyway, that's the end of his video there, and then it's, shill his shit. So we'll end that there.
Gosh, wasn't that not informative?
Huh.
Yeah. That was a whole lot of something, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was things that sort of were something, but we're sure, and yet there might be.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
get the wishful thinking. I get the wishing aliens would land and pop the hatch and say hi, but
Mm-hmm.
like this isn't it.
Right.
No. And the longer you go without contact, and the more we start exploring more and more of space and not run into one. I mean, you'd think that, well, the aliens have been visiting us from the time when we had B-17 bombers, and now they're here in the times of space travel. You think maybe we ought to like come in and say hi. We could buzz their little ship and wave at them out of our little porthole, get their interest. I bet they'd be interested, but we don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
We don't get that because the chances of that actually having happened is staying at best. Not going to say it's impossible because, frankly, at this point, I don't think anything is impossible.
And plus, I have very tight tabs on all the space aliens in this quadrant. They're all on a very tight leash. We don't want to have anything interfere because if the terrestrials found out what the true aliens were like, that they all look like Barney the dinosaur, they're really going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I would.
Hypotheses I've heard is that the aliens are like making drones that they think look human enough to not spook the natives and just sort of got it wrong. I've heard that one proposed.
Yeah. Or remember Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it says, well, we could go down and with our spaceships and make beep beep noises at them. It was kind of silly, really.
That was the purpose of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Its only purpose, in fact.
Well, everybody, that was an interesting video, that's for sure.
It was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a word for it. But I think with that, we will wrap it up for the evening. I am still pretty tired out. That COVID thing has worn me out still. Unfortunately, those those symptoms linger for some time, so...
yeah, that's not good. We can't have that.
No. I've recovered mostly from it as far as like the really bad stuff. The fever is gone and all that, but I've still got just that fatigue. I do one thing and I'm like, all right, now I'm exhausted. So
fatigue, the voice, I don't even want to move. Forget getting up.
Yeah, exactly. So
we got through
been there,
this
done that.
whole video without once talking about aliens giving their abductees a colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Well, he was actually talking about the ships and not the aliens themselves.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's true.
I think his prejudice against the tinfoil hat believers, was very, very depressing.
Yeah. I agree.
Hello, Buster. How is Buster doing these days, anyway?
Yeah, pretty well. But I think with that we will wrap it up here. So I do want to thank everybody for coming out, and that one is not Buster. That is correct, Mr. X, Mr. Y. But we will wrap it up here. So thank you all for coming out tonight, and I appreciate you all for being patient with me while we had some time off here for illnesses and trips and COVID and all sorts of fun stuff. So thank you all again. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. And with that, say good night, panel.
Good night, panel.